am joined today by my first ever guest on the podcast. So excited to welcome Charlee to the stage. Charlee has been a longtime client of mine. We're coming up on what, 7, 8 months working together? Is that right?
Almost 9 months.
Oh my gosh, we're basically like having a baby together at this point. So exciting. And throughout this time, there's been a lot of talk about pivoting and change and what Charlee really wants to be doing and what she feels like she needs to be doing and where she's coming from and where she's going. And we're here to talk today about pivoting and how that's so scary, but so invigorating and energizing all at the same time. A little bit to know about Charlee is that she is a business manager who specializes in process design and project management. She helps visionary business owners and creative founders transform their secret sauce into operational processes and automated backend systems. Basically, she takes everything that us creative big picture people can't even think about, because even when I was saying that sentence, you started like blacking out at the words. She takes all of that and actually makes the business in the back end. She's a certified project manager and has over 10 years of experience in corporate agency and nonprofit management, but she is most proud of taking the leap into entrepreneurship, which she actually did by opening a boutique day home, which serves small business owners. And now the big pivot to business management consulting. So I will pass it over to you if you want to add anything in for all of us non-data girlies, non-details girlies. Give us the like short and sweet of what it is you love and how you think, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So I love planning and I love taking people's big ideas, those visions, and making step-by-step plans and processes and those details that make your eyes glaze over, your brain black out. That is where I thrive. And I know a lot of people say, ugh, my back end is a mess, but I want you to know you're not a mess. You just need some systems.
Yeah. And I knew this about you for so long because you always did everything in such a different process from me. Like you right away were like, well, I really am focused on client experience. I really want to make sure that when I'm onboarding people, it's really systematic and I'm doing something once, but I'm using it over and over again. And you were always so intentional with every single thing you set up. Whereas entrepreneurs like me are like, well, we'll just see what happens. And like when it gets to be too much, I'll like, backtrack and try and set things up in the back end, which ends up getting way too overwhelming. And
Yeah,
then we need to hire someone to come in and do it because it's like gotten into this extreme chaos mess versus you organizing everything from the get-go. So
totally.
what do you think is like the biggest difference in terms of someone who is organized in their business and someone who's not organized in their business? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So for someone who has an organized business, it's looking like you know your processes. Maybe they're mapped out, but you're able to see what you're doing in a way that lets you streamline things. Like you're able to cut those extra steps and figure out ways to save your time in your business if you're like reinventing the wheel with every client onboarding, you're launching your marketing campaigns over again and you don't have a project plan, you're wasting your time and you have post-it notes scattered everywhere. You have a to-do list in your head that is consuming you and you're just like, this is chaotic. And so you need
Totally.
systems. Yeah.
What kind of systems did you have in place when you were doing an in-person service with the day home?
Yeah, so for my in-person service, I was so funny because I was all about these like online backend systems for a business that really had this client cap. And so I had lead systems coming in, like automated funnels. My emails were going out automatically, but on the back end, I was creating this onboarding process that was repeatable. And a lot of it I was starting to automate knowing that like I didn't even have that much time. I was doing all of this like on my couch in the evenings, on the weekends, and really like spending so much time on this because I loved it so much, even though the business that I was running before it didn't really make sense to be doing all of this systems work for it, but making sure that the marketing lead and the client onboarding systems were just giving this like caring, nurturing experience so that the clients felt safe when they were coming to bring their kids to my day home, and making sure that the feelings that I provided in my service were also being echoed online in the emails, in the forms, and having everything really match up with the feelings that I wanted my clients to experience in my service.
It's so funny because you were basically setting up a super scalable business for a business you were legally unable to scale.
Right? Literally, like this was my very first time owning my own business, and I was having so much fun and like figuring out all of these systems. And like, even if I had hired an assistant, I couldn't bring in more clients. Yeah, absolutely. It was like really eye-opening seeing what I was passionate about. And it was something that I didn't think I would be at the beginning when I first started it.
So when you started the day home, did you think that was going to be it? This was going to be your business for the foreseeable future?
You know what? I started the day home and I knew in the back of my mind, and I'm not sure I like really realized it, but I knew that it was just for a season of my life. So I knew that at some point when both kids were off at school, I wouldn't want to be doing a day home 5 days a week forever. That was just too much chaos if my kids were older and grown. But I knew it was right for the season of life, but I thought that I would be kind of growing the day home business, maybe offering online programs or curriculum for sale. Like, I always wanted it to be bigger than what it was, um, but I didn't know exactly how at the beginning.
So what was it that was kind of the turning point that made you realize that that season was shorter than you anticipated when you started out?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So it was really interesting because I was so proud about hitting my full 100% registration number. And at that point, when like my registration was 100%, I had a wait list, I had all of these like systems in place. I was getting like really burnt out. And I still wanted to spend this time on like marketing materials and things that my business didn't need, but I was loving doing. And at that point, my husband said, Charlie, like, I'm not sure this is the right business for you. Like, I'm not sure this is the right decision for you for the family. And I did not listen to him.
I
I
was like,
didn't
and your back
ask.
went up.
Yeah, and I didn't ask questions, I didn't get curious about what he meant. I heard that, and I actually heard, like, my inner voice, my, like, inner doubt and imposter syndrome and fears and insecurities, and I heard something he wasn't saying. You know, I heard that he thought that I was a failure, that I couldn't do this, that I should go get a corporate job. He never said that. And what he was actually saying was that he saw the hours that I was putting into things that like weren't related to running the day home. He saw that like I was spending time cleaning up the mess and prepping activities and getting ready for the kiddos. And I was doing all of this other stuff that like he knows that I love. He knows that I am a planner girl. He knows I love systems, that I have a mug that says lists are my love language. So he knows. He knows I would like to project manage him, and I won't, but I try. Um, and and then I had a one-to-one call with you after I ignored my husband, and you said, "Do you love running a day home or do you love being an entrepreneur?" And that stopped me in my tracks because like there were already all of these things going on that I was either like ignoring or like kind of realizing. And when you said that, like my business coach, who I trust so much, who like I've seen so many successes from, and then I like connected it to what Sam was saying, my husband, I was like, oh, yeah, no, I love being an entrepreneur. Like I love it. And like there are aspects of running the day home that I love, but like my heart lies in like being an entrepreneur and these like systems that I could build and I could scale. And like my ambition was greater than the business that I had created. And I think
Yeah,
that was like
absolutely.
the biggest point.
Yeah, and I mean, we quickly realized when you hit that 100%, like we worked there, we got you to 100%, and then it was like, well, unless you want to pivot in a specific way by adding in all of these online aspects or virtual classes or whatever, there is an income cap here. We could have gotten
Mm,
creative and added some other ways to bring in income streams, but it was just really clear by the way that you were kind of dragging your feet with going in any of those directions that it wasn't what was really lighting you up and what was exciting to you. And then I think from there, there was just a lot of external validation from this decision in regards to like what your family needed, what your
mm.
health needed, all of these things that really affirmed this was the right direction for you. Not to mention that as soon as you started putting out into the universe that you wanted to do this pivot, what immediately happened for you?
Oh my goodness. So first of all, like life circumstances meant that I had to pivot away from running a day home earlier than I thought. And I started thinking about, okay, well, systems girl, let's do this. Let's do my like corporate business management background for the small businesses that I have loved serving as a day home provider. And I like changed over one of my Instagrams. I started to talk about it really casually. We're recording this in August and like I had not planned to run my business, like to start this new business until September when my son was back at school. And I like literally put it out there into the universe and now I have 4 clients already before I even had planned to start my business.
Yeah,
Like
like in
just by
your mind
having
before you've launched, you already have
Yeah.
four
Yeah, I know
people.
I keep being like, "Oh, yeah, in the future when I have this business management." Oh, no, like, I'm literally doing it now.
Yeah, like it's
And
happening.
and I It's happening, and I think that's what happens, right? When things are so aligned to what I'm best at and who I am as a person, like, I was already having these conversations with so many people who have businesses about my ideas, how they could like, what I saw, how I could help them, just, like, casually, and then the second that I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do this," people were excited to work with me, and I'm so excited to help them. Um, yeah, and I won't get into the nerdy, like, ClickUp development or whatever, I won't do that. But I am yeah, I'm just, like, so excited to be, like, in it sounds cheesy, but, like, in alignment because that's what I was trying to do with my day home, to be in line with where I was with my young kids and trying to be flexible with my time to be able to do school pickup, and it wasn't the right thing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that, my first business, although it was a success, it wasn't really a personal success. It didn't fit, and I think there's a lot of, like, strength in and bravery in choosing to pivot to something else, and getting a couple clients right away just was so affirming.
Yeah, so validating. And also at the same time, though, I do think that because of this year of entrepreneurship that you've had, you're going to be of so much more value to other small business owners rather than coming straight from corporate. Because now you
Oh,
see,
yeah.
everything else that small business owners do that maybe you would have missed out on before, but now you have that direct experience, that lived experience that's really invaluable.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is so key because not only like a lot of my clients right now, they're moms, they're so busy. I literally am walking right there with them in a service based. When I had the service based business, like I had the tiniest pockets of time to create these systems. And so I know exactly the steps that they can take, the exact actions that they can do to get the biggest results, like really streamline down to the most important parts of their business that will see the results.
That's my favorite kind of service provider to work with as well, are the ones who didn't just jump in and kind of start living the life. They like worked their way up through there. It's honestly the same origin story as me because I had built this whole other business. I left,
Mhm.
corporate teaching,
Yeah.
built this whole other business, started casually coaching people without being a coach, just trying to help people along in their businesses, and then started going into it after I'd already built up all this experience as a small business owner, building a business 1 hour a day, all of that. So both of us have the same sort of past of like, we get it because we did it. And now we're
Mhm.
going to help you get through it. So you don't have to do all the same mistakes that we did because we already did them for you.
Literally. So Sam joked, he was like, if you had met Mariah and were working with her at the beginning when you were trying to start your day home, you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And
I
it
do
was,
have an I do have an uncanny ability to like sniff out what people actually want. That's why I was like, do you actually want to run a
yeah, I know
daycare or
it's so funny because now that I've obviously like pivoted and we have worked together, like identifying the need for that pivot, it's so funny on group calls when I'm like, hearing other people like haven't taken action, you pitch an idea about their business and they're not excited for it, like all of those like flags going off that it's like, ooh, are we offering the right thing in the right business? Like, are we offering the wrong service in the right business, or is it just the wrong business for you? Like
Yeah.
it's so funny now that I've been through it that there's like these really identifiable like markers to know
Yeah,
that you're
totally.
not
When
in
you're
the
in
right
too deep,
thing.
you can't see it for yourself. You're like, no, of course
Yeah.
not. No flags. Everything is a green
Yeah.
flag over here.
Or like there's like ego in it, or you're not sure if you're like, I think for me, a lot of the times I was like, am I in like my ick, my fear zone? Like, am I experiencing like self-doubt?
Mhm.
Or is this like my intuition saying this isn't what's right for you? And sometimes, like when you're in it, it's really hard to know if it is like just that self doubt and you just need to push through, or if you do need to pivot. And that was why it was so helpful to talk through it with you, because that can be really hard to identify. And listening to your husband tell you is not
Absolutely
is
not.
not it.
They're the mirrors we don't want to see. Whereas when
Yeah.
you have a coach or something, you're like, no, no, this is the mirror that I purchased and hung
Yeah.
up and look
Yeah.
in every single day, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful and it fits my aesthetic.
Yes. She has pink flowers. It's
Exactly.
working for me. Yeah.
Which
100%.
pivot do you think was scarier for you? The pivot from corporate to starting a business in the first place, or the pivot from business to business?
I think so. It's interesting because my situation from corporate to my own business came with a move. So I was out of a corporate job anyways because my other business had called people back to work, and I couldn't go back to work because we had moved to Ottawa and my work was in Toronto. And so I was looking for a job here at the same time as thinking through a new path. So either way, I wasn't making any money at that point. And honestly, a day home was a really fast startup. And like the money started coming in pretty quickly. Um, so to me, it's been scarier to pivot from this business that I know makes me like X amount of money a month. Our bills are paid, everything is good. Even though it can't scale, it's reliable. And so for me, this pivot actually feels more like moving from that like reliable income to the unknown. I think this has been scarier because this is it. Like this is what I want to do. It's like the fear of failure is much higher than it was with the day home. Because I think like for me, if that hadn't worked out, okay, fine, like we move on, we figure it out. But now this is just like a bigger personal thing for me. Like it's that weighty, heavy, like, okay, this is it. This is my passion. Like we're gonna make this work. Absolutely. And that's like a good sign that this is the right thing. So yeah, definitely the pivot from the reliable income of my own business to an unknown of my like real like passion that I'm pursuing now.
Yeah, that makes total sense. There's so much more on the line now because you don't want to do anything else. This feels like the
Mhm.
only option. But we
Yeah.
also already know it is going to work out because it already has been working out
It
and you haven't even
literally already
started
is.
yet.
I know, that's the funny part, right? I know, it's just wild
But we
that
see that with so many of the girls in our group. Like, as soon as they start doing the thing that they actually want to be doing, they're like,
yeah,
well, I already got people signed up. Well, I already did this. And we're like, see, when it's something that you really want, it's not, as woo as, well, you really want it. It's meant to be blah, blah, blah.
oh,
It's the energy that you're putting behind it. When you're
mhm,
actually interested and passionate about something, it shows. You're not procrastinating putting up reels. You're not procrastinating making your email list. These are things you genuinely want to do and put out into the world, but it's really hard to fake that when you're not into it.
100%, and you're excited to talk about this, like, you want to tell people about your services, your business, you want to tell people that, like, I am a CEO, I'm running this business, I'm a consultant now, and it's not a quiet question inside,
Yeah,
like, it's 100% when you're aligned in your business, you are showing up, and
totally.
that's what makes the difference,
If
100%.
someone was feeling unsure or they were just feeling like something was off, they were dragging their feet a little in their business, maybe they had like a secret dream about something they wanted to do, but it was kind of like a well, one day situation. What would you tell them to help them? Like you said, it's so scary to go from like established routine business or job, whatever it is, and jump into this more unknown territory. And
Mhm.
since you literally are in the process of doing it slash just did it, what would you tell someone who is contemplating but like feeling that super fear bubbling up?
Absolutely. So it's so funny because for me, I feel like I am more the practical, like, how can we make this happen? How can we make this work person? And so a creative visionary like that who has this big idea, maybe they only see that end result, what they expect in 5, 10 years. And that is so overwhelming. Like, how do you get from a full time job to this giant, like, school that you have in mind, like this service-based business where you have a group of 5 people working for you. Like, I love working with people like this because I break things down into actionable steps, right? So if you have that scary big dream, what is a smaller thing that you can start with? And how can you make that happen? What are and I call them like the milestones, right? In project planning, you have your big end result, but then there's milestones on the way to get there. So, like, if you want to have, say, a cooking school, if you want to have um, a space that you rent with people working for you, other teachers, you want to have a couple different locations across the city. What's the smallest way that you can do that right now? And then where do we go from there? And then you just focus on the, as they say with Frozen, the next right step.
Oh, I was literally just thinking that in my head.
Yeah, yeah. I would make it my theme song, but it's too sad. It's
I was thinking
so
that
sad.
too. The other day I was like, I wonder, this would be such a good reel, like this one line. And I was like, but it's literally so sad.
It's too sad. We like the next right step in the happy way.
Yeah.
So so when you have that plan, you have your next milestone, how can I offer this service at a level that is like the minimum viable product, the way that I can make it happen in the shortest amount of time, and you get your action steps to scale to that, it's so much more doable. And a lot of people need help with that because they have this big vision. They don't know how to break it down. They don't know how to research all of the regulations, like the systems that they would need. It's really overwhelming when you're not that detail oriented person. Sure, you can do it, but it's going to take you a lot more time and a lot more stress, and things are going to fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
So that's
These are the
actually
people these are the people that are like, well, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to have this in my offer suite and I also want to be doing this, but I also want to be doing this, but right now I need to do this. And then they end up doing nothing.
100%. And I like to say if you are a project starter, you need a project finisher, right? You need someone to take that one core project that you have. You're going to ignore all the rest of them for now, and we're going to map out a plan to get from the project that you've started to the finish line so that you can move on and have something accomplished. And that is what I love to do to help people with their project management who just really have a hard time and they get stuck a lot. I think in terms of the mindset, I like to say I'm the backstage coach, you're the front stage coach. Like you're really coaching people through the action and the mindset and the way that they're showing up. And I'm creating those backstage processes that are making it happen, right? The exact
Yeah.
little steps and taking care of those details.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I don't know how you say his last name, but I just this morning finished reading the part where he was saying every visionary, every person who's focused on the why needs someone who is their right hand person who focuses on the how. So anytime we think of someone who has created some sort of big corporation, super well known in the life, they are presented as like the visionary, as the face of the company, but there's always someone on the back end who's not the face, who is taking that vision and they're like, okay, I know how to make that happen. And they spell it out for that visionary, but they wouldn't have come up with that on their own. So together, both types of people, both types of entrepreneur are what's really, really powerful.
Yeah, 100% the integrator. That's exactly how I see myself, making sure that, what you're offering, that unique secret sauce, right? What that magical offer that makes you unique in your space, in your industry, in the world, that can be distilled down into systems and processes that can partially be automated, that can be used to create that experience, like kind of what I talked about at the beginning, how you make your clients feel. You want everything across your system to have that same feel, and your systems, when they're streamlined, automated, really thoughtful and strategic, can do that. That how is integrated into the vision, and that makes you so much like stronger, able to scale, and also takes a lot of the pressure off of those creative founders, the visionaries, right? If they're in the muck, if they're in like the details that are boggling their mind, they're not going to be able to show up how they need to for their clients. But for the integrators,
Absolutely.
we love that.
Yeah. Totally. Okay, well, if someone is listening to this and they are a visionary entrepreneur, or maybe they're debating their own pivot, because I feel like that is a perfect storm for the overwhelm to set in, where you feel like there's this dream that you want to start working toward, but you literally don't even know where to begin. And if you're balancing two things, you're starting to make your pivot into a new direction while still having to keep everything going that you're already doing, whether it's your current job, whether it's your current business. The best thing you're going to be able to do is start to automate as much as possible. That way, if you can automate pretty much everything that you're currently doing, that opens up so much of your life to focus on the new thing and the things that only you can do, only that you, the actual human, can do, instead of the systems working for you. So, what are some ways that these people listening that are listening in and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I need systems. I don't even know what a system is, but I know that I don't have them and I know that I need them. How can they get started on those?
Yeah, so the first thing that you should be doing is mapping out your process. So, what you're doing to onboard your client, the services that you're offering, any repetitive tasks, you need to map that out and distill it down to exactly what is offering value and those things that are enabling the value to happen. So, map it out. And then a lot of things can be made digital. First of all, if you're not doing that, if you are making your invoices on Canva, you need to get a tool that's online to be doing that. If you're putting all of your to-do lists in post-it notes all over your desk, you need to have everything in one place. So getting the right tools for where you are in your business is really important. And I actually have a workbook that you can, I guess, link in the show notes about ways to map out your process and then automate it. Because even just talking through it, it's so overwhelming for people who don't know where to start that I have a workbook that walks them through step by step exactly what to do for non-techie, non-detail oriented people. Um, you want to be able to go step by step um, so that you're not stuck. And once you have your process mapped out, you can identify the areas that are just taking up way too much time. Like, and you hate it, right? So if those are like the big places where you can kind of figure out a better system or an automation. And it's so easy now with tools like Honeybook or like that's a CRM and invoicing. Um, Cloud-based software, you can like Flowdesk, you can email, automate your emails, your welcome sequences. Like really, all businesses now should be automating as much as possible. And so my workbook is going to walk you through different pain points you have and ways that you can use digital tools to automate that and like win back a lot of time for your from your day to day.
Yeah, and I think that this process is going to show people that are feeling really overwhelmed and feel like they maybe need a virtual assistant or something, that maybe you do, but maybe you just need to stop sending the same email 20 times, or maybe you need to streamline your custom order process, or maybe you need to not be sending manual reminders about appointments coming up to people. All of these little things that you find yourself doing over and over and over again for various clients in whatever capacity that is, there are ways that you can automate it. But beyond client experience too, I know you're going to be helping me with even revenue tracking. Like when a sale comes in, I don't need to go and manually put that into a spreadsheet. That can magically happen behind the scenes. Little things like that where it's just the time that it takes to start up something, find the information, move it over. The things that we're doing over and over again, we don't need to be doing them. So instead of hiring out a VA who's going to come in and manually do those things or maybe set up systems for you, if you set up these systems, these automations, you get all that time back and you can use that time for things that actually make you money and that you actually love. So I'll definitely link that in the show notes. What a valuable resource. Why don't you tell people where they can find you, what they can expect coming up in the next few months? And I will link all of that in the show notes as well.
Thanks, Mariah. So right now, people can find me at Charlee Manages It, and that's Charlie spelled Charlee. And that's on Instagram. Charlie manages it. I am going to be growing my business and taking you with me to show you how I'm setting up my systems and giving you tips and tricks on ways that you can do that too in your business. So, those little automations that are huge time savers, you can follow along and I will be showing that to you. And you can watch my business grow as I help you and help others. And then from there, you'll see when I set up my website and all the other ways that you can be a part of it.
Yeah, and I mean, don't hesitate to reach out to Charlie either if you're listening to this and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I need systems. I don't even want to like look at this workbook because I don't even want to know what's in the workbook. I just want someone to do it for me." Cough, that was me. Then reach out to her, send her a message. You never know what availability she's going to have. Obviously, right now she mentioned she has the 4 clients, but kind of on a rolling basis, new spots will be opening up. So start the conversation, be brave, know that whenever you reach out to someone, all you are doing is learning if it's the right fit for you. So go ahead, reach out to her, word vomit away about all your systems. That's all I do. I send her a voice note every day being like, but is this a thing that can be automated or
Yeah,
not?
if you want something to magically just happen for you, but you're like, can this happen actually, or is this actually magic? It's most likely a system. It's not magic. So yeah, send that magic thing you want to happen to me in my DMs, and I will brainstorm with you ways that we can actually make it happen.
Sounds amazing. All right, all that information is going to be in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today, for telling your story, for kind of bearing it all and telling us your brave pivot. And I know everyone is excited to start getting more organized and to be able to say they have systems because at this point you might not even know what the word systems means.
Here, thanks, Mariah.